Alright, you'll notice that today we did not play the intro music because we could not load the track on for some reason. But you can always do something new. You know, you don't always have to keep the cycle the same. You can always, in the cycle, you can add new things to it, which will spice it up. Okay, this is October, and you'll see that we are not doing the call-in show format. We want to make sure that we have people to call in first, so we're going to keep with this format just for a little while longer, and then we'll change. Last week, of course, we had some youth on, and the next time we do some youth programming will be coming up really soon. And when I say programming, I mean that they'll be speaking. All right, so...
and on that note, if you have an interest in being a part of calling in, we would like to know if there is an interest or if you have topics. So please attach any of your comments, or if you have a willingness to be a part of talk-in interviews or anything, any ideas, just as we move forward with the program. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm glad you added that, because really we'd like to have participation. So before we move to talk, we'd like to know if people want to talk about certain issues. And you know, Barack Source for Learning, we're actually a dialogue promotion group, I would say. We promote dialogues and actions, which might be a little different because some groups just promote the talking, you know, and just facilitate the talking. But our facilitation ends with actions that are practiced in the community as well. But it all does have to start with dialogue. You know, our motto is think, plan, act. So, you know, you got to think it, then you have to have the dialogue, which is the planning process, and then the action, of course. Okay, now this month, or this week, we're talking about fall, you know, or autumn. Some people like to call it autumn. Some people like to call it fall. And it's, you know, it's a significant time period. It's actually the harvest time. It's a time when it's a report type situation, because, you know, the new fiscal year starts as well, you know. So that's a time when people are reporting on their achievements, you know, during the new fiscal year, and what the resources they had, what harvests they brought in by spreading the resources through the year. And in our natural setting, the harvest time is a report of the produce, because at the end of the year, farmers report on the yield that they brought in. So it's a time of reconciliation, if you will.
So this would explain some of the things that are going on with the federal government.
Exactly.
A part of the whole government shutdown. A lot of people don't even of these things that are going on, and we're not critics. We don't know really to the level where we would be experts, but we will try to make you all aware of things that are going on, like the government shutdown, and being aware that that does have to do with the end of a cycle.
Yes.
And transitioning into a new cycle, which is a lot of what the fall is about.
It's exactly right.
We're going from these extremes, the summer, to the winter months.
Right.
And so the fall is kind of a segue. It just kind of takes out one season and brings in another season. So I looked it up just to see what it would say that fall is. And of course, in the hemisphere that we live in, we have 4 seasons, and that the fall is the one of 4. So it's good to think of it as a transition. So some of you all might start doing things. We'll suggest things like, hey, pay attention to your whatever wardrobe. Some people have problems with space or have a lot of clothes. It may be difficult to even get to wearing them all. You have to organize them to think about the winter coming, and some of you fashionistas out there, fashionistas.
Fashion is a cycle as well.
You know, all these different things,
right.
Foods that are available to you. Pay attention to your farmer's market. You'll know what's available. Some things are able to be sold all year round.
Most things are able to be stored all year round. I'll definitely agree with that.
But I mean, freshly growing. At your farmer's market, you will find certain hardy vegetables like collards and different green leaves, and you've got your sweet potato.
Things that have later cycles in the harvest period.
Those are great things to be just mindful of. And again, we're always wanting to encourage people to go to the local farmer market, or be aware of your supermarkets and foods that they may have that's available really within 100 miles to you. So all this is being said, and to still keeping in perspective, is that be aware. Some things are, people just talk about, the fall, and we talked about it at the end of last show, and now we'll just continue with that, knowing that this is fall and there are certain things that we'll expect because of the fall. So prepare for the winter transition.
Yeah, because it's a cycle. You see, that's one of the things that's in our title. Fall is part of a cycle, a weather cycle, a season cycle. It's cyclical. It moves around, you know. And next year is going to be a fall.
Cyclical.
You know, and you're supposed to be prepared. That's what cycles do. Cycles give you the opportunity to be prepared because you know it keeps coming up. And of course, fall is harvest time. And you know, your fruits and vegetables, they're not going to grow in the wintertime, as you know. They only grow in the cycle of time that they're allowed to. Some grow up to a later period in the cycle, which they're taking in more sunlight, and that's why they're beneficial during the winter, because in the cycle they took more sunlight, and so they're best to be given to you in the winter when we have less sunlight.
That's probably how we went from calling it autumn to fall, because another thing is things are literally falling off the trees, called leaves.
Yeah, fall is definitely a slang word.
Some of these fruit that have matured, they will just fall up. And if you want to salvage, if you want to be able to get the value out of that item, then you would store it.
You would store it.
Yes, and so some of the smart ants have done their work, and they are settled and ready for whatever fall will be.
That's what the fiscal year represents also. The fiscal year, what you should have done is you should have planted the seed that you had or the monies that you got. During the summertime is when it's growing, you know what I mean? And at the end of the fiscal year is when you're reporting what the seeds have grown. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's the same. All cycles are the same.
And put the school, for example, and a part of that cycle is that school is just returned. Students have returned at this point, so now they are also settling in their classrooms. And some college students have started about a month ago, and some are right into just starting. Maybe local Mount Olive is around here. A lot of these schools are on cycles, and so all around you, pay attention to the cycles that are available. And we also want to encourage awareness as far as you'll know there are certain holidays that are
on cycles, right?
You know, like the breast cancer awareness.
Is that this month?
It's this month.
Okay. Yeah, let's run down to some of these things that are this month. You know, because October, you know, every month is part of a cycle, of course, because we celebrate what we call holidays or holy days, or we have several names for them, but they're all on cycles. You know, there's religious calendars that are on cycles. Well, let me just stop this right now. Everything is on a cycle. You know, we have 365 days because it's on a cycle. We have calendars because it's a cycle. So that's why we're looking at cycles, and why we're looking at the harvest time. Because there's a planting time in all cycles, and there's a harvest time. And right now we're in fall, being our harvest time. There's a time when things are falling because they're about to go to sleep, but what they've produced are at their fullest mature state for use as a product. So we're going to go over some of the things that are in our holidays and or just days that we like to celebrate that are in October.
And you know, as we go through this, I just there are a lot of different things. I thought I'd find about half a dozen, but it was more like a dozen or so of different things that the month of October brings a interest in making us aware of things. Like we already said, breast cancer awareness and domestic violence awareness and bullying prevention awareness. This is all October, and there's even more. But we can speak on some of those that I just mentioned.
Let's talk about bullying, because since we are a group that does diversity awareness and conflict resolution, a large part of anti-diversity and being someone who causes conflict is bullying or force, as in people bending to your will. You know, both of those separate aspects, either diversity or conflict, you know, have a lot to do with someone forcing a difference of opinion.
Thank you.
So we do a lot of anti-bullying, you know what I mean?
Well, bullying, I mean, we could go into that. We will go into bullying as a whole show. So just be prepared for us to go into that, because there's a lot involved in that. But like we already spoke of, the breast cancer awareness. I mean, we are aware, thank God we're more aware now than we used to be regarding different types of cancers that a human body can have to battle with. And we know that breast cancer is one that a lot of people think pink. So I think that's kind of cute, considering that it's fall and orange gets a lot of attention. I think you mentioned, and now the bullying prevention month. Orange is the color that goes along with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think
yes,
you were
yes,
commenting on
that. Yeah, orange is the color
you
you're
wear
supposed to wear
color
as representation of you are against bullying.
And of course, we know the pink is for the breast cancer awareness, and even you guys can wear your pink, and some basketball teams will want to encourage or be expressive as far as their awareness. They may wear pink socks, or
if you're into ribbons and all that stuff, and socks, and if you're into wearing on yourselves colors and ribbons that represent unity, then definitely, I guess the rainbow ribbon is probably the best one you could possibly get, because you were either for everything positive or against everything negative anyway. So, if I was going to wear a ribbon, I guess I would go get a rainbow one.
Well, even if you're suggesting, in doing what you're saying, and as is with the pink or the ribbon, it makes me think of the Seinfeld piece with the ribbon. With the ribbon. Yeah, that was one of my favorite shows.
The guy wouldn't wear the AIDS awareness ribbon, and they're like, "Yeah, you got to wear the ribbon to show your representation."
We'll go over that.
But
yeah. There's so many stories of ribbons, but anyway, just the idea that you would maybe everybody already knows. Oh well, yeah, there's a ribbon. But sometimes we really don't. In our day-to-day lives, in our mundane cycles that we're in, we may not think about these things. So we just want you to be aware, for one, that might be what those ribbons are, or why you're seeing it.
That's funny you bring it up.
And then we may want to express it, because it can make people aware, and that's what the thing is about. It gets commercial, and we don't want people to go out and make a point. But there could be just ways of expressing yourself that you don't have to necessarily.
Several people already do, yeah. Right? And nowadays, with the magic of iconography is now when you see someone wearing a pink ribbon, you automatically think breast cancer. You know what I mean? And if you see someone wearing a yellow ribbon, you think of war. And that's the one good thing about those colors and the usage of the colors, that it does allow you to, in your day-to-day, see someone wearing it, and then you will think about things that do need some help, or things that you could personally help in addressing.
Yes. And of course, we've mentioned just some of those so far, and we'll just realize that all of these may have a different ribbon or a different color you may see that goes along. But let me go through this list, because it's amazing, and we won't go into detail, but just be aware that there's other months, awareness months that are going on, like Book Month, and Adopt a Shelter Dog Month, Campaign for Healthier Babies Month, Cyber Security Awareness, Dental Hygiene Awareness, Domestic Violence Awareness, Down Syndrome Awareness, Filipino American History Month. That's interesting, because we always want to talk about black.
I'm glad you brought that up. Can
Mexican and Latino.
Well, we talk about Yeah, but I'm glad we do know that month, because that's good to know that it's Filipino Awareness Month. And I enjoy the diversity of that, because we don't get to recognize. America's mixed. It has everything, thank God.
Yes, throughout history, we have been enriched as a nation by our diversity.
Right, exactly.
Without the diversity,
there would be nothing in this world that I can think of. And that's all mathematical and scientific. I'm not saying anything that's opinionated. I'm talking about textbook stuff here. Everyone's taking a history class, and everyone's taking a world civilization and a world history class, and we all have come to know factually that the world is based off of diversity. Now, of course, racism, classism, and those isms are us being ignorant to the truth. Yes. I know that's what we like to do sometimes. We like to enact and to embody the opposite of truth sometimes. But we all have taken a class in school, and that class has told us that something we are practicing and using today was taught from another civilization or culture.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so
Filipino American History Month. That's what it's about, is more diversity. And Fire Prevention Month, Italian American History Month. We celebrate with Scarface, but yet we won't really. I mean, well, we're going to celebrate people. Oh, pizza! We eat pizza every Friday. People might joke about it.
Yeah, right. Right.
Lupus Awareness Month, Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month, Rett Syndrome Awareness Month. I don't know a lot about Rett syndrome. Maybe we'll hit on some of these through the month. Just we'll mention them now. Selective what is this? Mutism. Selective mutism awareness. Vegetarian awareness. Okay, we're going to hit on all these, you guys. Like tonight, we will. We've hit on quite a few of them, but
we've said quite a few.
We're mentioning this as it's the first week of October. This is just, we've only getting started, guys. We want to encourage everyone to be aware. Just know. Inquire. Start communication with people. Have an interest in these yellow ribbons if you don't know. You may ask someone why they have an interest or what is this about, or maybe they lost a loved one. They may want to open up the communication channels, possibly.
Yeah, dialogue, to create dialogue, yeah.
So just be more aware. It'll help you in your day-to-day life. You know, do things with intention, realizing some people may want to think some of these topics or these interests or concerns that someone has designated to appear in a month that people, it's worthy of thinking about, of being aware of. Of course, you can carry these things on throughout the year, but there might be things that you can do in your community. If you have an interest in any of these things, you may look for them locally. You may do some volunteerism because you have an interest, or you may support it with your funds, financial funds, or what you have available as a person to volunteer or to become more active or learn more.
Yeah, and I'll say this much, definitely. For every group that was just mentioned, they belong to a cycle. And in their cycle, they will report what your proceeds have done and what your volunteer hours have done. Because they are part of a cycle as well. They have a fiscal year to report to. We at Barack Trust for Learning, we have a cycle. Our cycle actually, our cycle begins October 1st, as a matter of fact, just like everyone else's. You know, and that it specifically does. And we start serving, and then at the end of the year, by the 30th of September, we have to report on how many hours, you know, and like you see on our Facebook or whatever, our youth did this many hours, adults did this many hours serving the community. And, you know, we report back the fruits that have bared from the planting, you know, so, and it's all part of a cycle.
So we don't want y'all to think that we're being random with this. So take these thoughts of just being aware and apply this inward so that you're reflecting on yourself and being more involved in the community. And that's what this is all about. That's what this show is all about. It's about a community that we are attempting to be involved in building and making it active. We're wanting it to be active, so active means that individuals need to be whole. Individuals need to know certain information. In order for us to actually build community, we need to access whatever energies that we have. That means that we want to tap into some power.
Into the cycles of power.
That power.
Also, yeah.
That power that is available to us because we are aware and because we choose to do something voluntarily. We can make a choice and we can exercise that choice. That is empowerment. So that touches on our next, something that you will find by the end of fall that will be coming up, and this will be a bit of a commercial. We're seeking specific youth. We're interested in applications being filled out so that we can know more about the diversity that we have among our youth, and to cultivate their leadership skills in the month of October. It is the season of fall. We will host this on the last weekend of fall, so it will be a part of the transition into the winter season. So we're at the beginning of fall, so we do want to bring this up this week, and next week we'll, touch on it, because we're going to have some deadlines for some applications, and we're not being selective. It's just that we want our youth to be reflective, for them to actually consider their leadership, and if they have an interest. We would love to see those youth that are interested in actually being a part of the leadership. You could learn about leadership, and we can do things like that, but we're very interested in applicants that are going to be interested in being a part of the leadership. So
yeah, that leadership comes up in December. I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
and like
the
I like
end
to
of the
say,
fall.
it's at the very end of fall. We're actually doing it on a seasonal type thing, which is weird when you say it out, loud. But it's actually what we're doing. And because we're interested in youth empowerment and community building, and I would like to put a caveat on that youth word. The young at heart is really what we need. Because youth, in general, in the cycle of youth, it's when you have the most potential for energy. And so that word can be used very racist if you apply it the wrong way.
Yes.
Youth means energy. And so we are trying to empower the energy that's out there, that young active energy, into becoming something. So you can be a 90-year-old who wants to reduce racism and increase education in the school system. So all you got to do is tutor as a white man in a black school, or as a Indian woman in a white school, or whatever, But at either rate.
But we want to encourage those adults that are interested in these things. Of course, you're always welcome. But what we are wanting to do is, just as with fall, we are taking a hold of that which we have a possibility. Right. It has potential energy at this point, and that you would want to gather. That's what the fall is about. We're gathering. You recognize that something by the cycle, that it could perish. And we want to seek those things. Right. Because if we grab them, we can freeze them. We can
utilize them.
The vegetables, right?
Right.
We can
to store them for later dates. Not that you necessarily, but more, we want to use them. You use the fruits. You get the fruits and the vegetables to use them. And the best time to use a vegetable and fruit or meat is right after it has come off the vine, because it has the most energy. Yes. And so you don't want. So really, I'm not saying something against what my wife was saying earlier about freezing them, but we don't want to freeze them. We want to utilize your gifts right away, so that they will benefit someone right away. You know what I'm saying? We want to use the true cycle, where the energy is expended, used, replanted, expended, used, replanted. You know what I mean? And just going around and around.
Definitely.
And that's definitely how our governments would want to work, with efficiency and in a real cycle. It's definitely how our groups, our youth want to work. And when I say youth, those of us that are young at heart, even though might be old in mind, we can still be young at heart, But at either rate, we only have a couple minutes left, so I don't want to overrun us, because we don't have the music to control us.
So we will be seeking some sponsorship during that time,
especially during that time, for sure.
Because so we're looking forward to the possibility of some partnering to take place now also during this season, that may involve local vendors or different.
Definitely. Everyone at this time has something that they can add to, it'll be produce. It's gathering, exactly. It's a gathering.
Yeah.
At this time now, there's things that we can share during this harvest period. The cornucopia is the symbol for the harvest, and the cornucopia, of course, is that that big basket, right? That's shaped like maybe an ear of corn, but large, but it's full of all of the things that were harvested, that are meant to be shared amongst the community.
Overflowing.
That's exactly, because it's cornucopia, right? And that's how community should be. If you're talking about building community should be a cornucopia. They should be all of the fruits and things that people can do overflowing, so everyone can share it and benefit from it. That's what fall and harvest, that's what that cycle represents.
Yes.
We don't do it properly. We're selfish sometimes. Our society teaches us to be selfish. It doesn't teach us to share. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Black Social Learning is about. That is what most faiths are about. That's what all these groups that are talking about, let's talk about autism, let's talk about anti-bullying. It's about sharing the wealth of the human society. I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in if you tune in. I would really like you guys to email us at baracksourceforlearning@gmail or at Yahoo or at Live or Barry at Barack Source for Learning, or go onto our website baracksourceforlearning.org and send us something that lets us know whether or not we should go to a talk format. And when I say talk format, we actually have materials that will facilitate the talks that we have. And on that note, I wanted to bring up one thing in Durham. In the Durham paper today, the Sunday paper, they were bringing up how the crowd claims about police racism. One of the dialogues that we're going to get, we always promote dialogue. We have all these manuals from Everyday Democracy. It used to be, anyway, it's called Everyday Democracy right now, so you can go on everydaydemocracy.org and see it. But we have all these manuals that facilitate dialogue, and one of them has to do with the police and community. And tonight, after we get off the air, I'm going to shoot to all of our representatives here in the city the manual and what Barack Source for Learning would like to do. We would like to facilitate dialogue on this thing that's on our front page of the Durham News. Mm-hmm. The crowd claims about police racism. That's something that we would love to facilitate dialogue on. And in this harvest, and in this cycle, we would like to be planting seeds of positive change. So next year, when the fruits bear, we're having celebrations of unity. Not singular celebrations where each family is separate during Thanksgiving, but where the community is thankful during Thanksgiving. The entire community, regardless to what race, creed, color, religion, or practice you have, we all will share in happiness.
And it's very pertinent for us to be participating. We want you all to get involved. Be more involved this year than you were last year. We challenge you out there to become more aware of the things that are going on and connect, engage, become a part of what's going on around you.